to our last Citizens Forum for Economic Opportunity, the last pillar of the strategic plan. My name is Sarah Widuszek, and I am the Director for the Center for Civic Engagement at Miami Hamilton. And it is my pleasure to welcome you to our presentation this evening on this final pillar. It is our hope that we will generate a lot of questions during this presentation. So by the overview, should you be thinking of things that you'd like to ask, please be sure to write those down because we'll have a brief question and answer session after this discussion. I'd like to go ahead and introduce our esteemed panel and presenters. We will have Jody Gunderson, the Director for Economic Development, do our presentation. And then we'll also have question and answers from Anthony Seppi, the Business Development Specialist for the City of Hamilton, Stacy Diedrich Dudas, the Economic Development Specialist here at the City of Hamilton, and then Sean Peterson, the Special Projects Coordinator. So if you'll help me welcome Jody Gunderson, he'll do our presentation for us. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you all for showing up tonight and taking time out of your busy schedules. All of this is very important to the city at a time when we've been working on a strategic plan. It's important for us to then go back to the public and get feedback. How are we doing? Is there something that could be done differently? So your comments are very important to us. The primary focus of tonight's discussion will revolve around the we create economic economic opportunity. And within that particular pillar of the strategic plan, you'll see items that are outlined there. We create an attractive environment for business development that creates jobs, attract, retain educated, creative, and skilled workforce, enhance the appearance of the city's primary corridors and entryways, and maximize the value of the municipal-owned utilities. At the end, I would like to speak to the end, so I'd ask the group here to remind me to talk specifically about the utilities, because we actually have had a couple of instances recently where we have been able to sell our utilities to prospects and have been a big part of why they're looking at the community. I'd like to first of all start with business retention. The city works with our elected officials in the Chamber of Commerce, and we have existing industry visits with the primary employers in the community, and the reason why that's particularly important is because, and you'll hear this quite a bit in economic development, 80% of the jobs created in economic development come from your existing companies, and that is a very, as much as we would like to think that that isn't the case, that we've got new businesses coming all of the time, in a lot of ways it's a good thing, because when they're expanding in your community, that means that you're doing something right as a community and they're comfortable operating and think that they can be successful in your community. But it is very much 80% of any new jobs that are created in a community typically do come from your existing businesses. So from our perspective, what's important to us to learn from this is these visits, we are looking for ways of gathering information from them. Is there something that the city can do differently to assist you in growing your operation in Hamilton? And are there potential expansion opportunities, and are there potential partners that we might find coming to the community that will enhance your business and at the same time create new jobs for the community? These visits have proven to be very, very instructive for the city. I think it helps us do our job a lot better as well, and it's good information that we carry back to our city council. Another thing that we have done in economic development for the city is aggressively market vacant business spaces. And while I have just two properties up there. I didn't want to put all of the properties up there, but these are two that we've have spent a lot of time marketing based upon the sheer size of the buildings alone. I would say this, though, that from the city staff's perspective, we don't necessarily care where they land in the city, whether it land over there or it lands over here. Our main objective is to get it to land in our city. And ultimately, we don't pick winners and losers in the real estate game. We put in front of the prospects opportunities. And it's not uncommon for us to show one property and say, you know, we have another property that we can show you, and it's right down the street, and we might just spend a half hour here and boom, we're off to the next property down the street. But what I think is probably worthwhile noting is in the case of Vora Business Park, we have had a recent success there, and that being Concert IT that will be locating in the Vora Business or Technology Park. And you know, from once again the city's perspective, this is a way of validating our strategic plan and being able to say that we have made some progress in a number of different areas. We'll probably also be looking at some of these larger buildings, and I think of Ohio Casualty as being one of them. You know, the opportunity to fill all of that space is going to be extremely difficult. You're just not seeing companies moving with, you know, 2,000 jobs at a time. And when you have that type of infrastructure, it's very difficult to just carve out one section of the building. We're looking at a number of different ways, and maybe even taking that building, and there may be some mixed use developments, whether it be residential, commercial, and office. That would be truly a live-work opportunity that we would like to pursue for that particular property. Our business development team is something that when I first came here, I kind of thought that, you know, it seems somewhat simple. It's a very simple concept. But the strange thing about it is that a lot of people don't do this. They don't have a dedicated team for businesses to foster them through the city process of development. And Anthony Seppi here is really the go-to person, and he works specifically with a business, whether it's an existing business or a new business, and he makes sure that throughout the process from A to Z that things move along, and if we encounter anything that might be a particular problem with the project, it will be Anthony then, and amongst the other directors within the city, that will troubleshoot that problem so that we can get beyond that and move the project forward. Like I said, it seems like a very simple concept. It's a kind of he's the point person, but a lot of cities don't do that. You really have silos, and it's incumbent upon businesses that once I've worked with this department, now I have to go and try to figure out how I work with this department. What this program is really meant to do is put together the best team of people with the city and make the process something that is very easy for people to go through, and we work on their behalf. I will say that we've heard a lot of favorable things from individuals that have worked with the city, and they appreciate the attention to the point where they've actually said that things have changed. It's a little different. And I said, good, that's good to hear. That's always very good feedback. One of the other things that the city's working on is the core fund, which is the Consortium for Ongoing Reinvestment Efforts. And really, this is a program that is, especially in this financial climate, where banks are requiring far more equity from investors of property. This program is really meant to assist the city bring in someone that is making an investment, whether it be commercial and industrial, and maybe something like the Mercantile Loft project, something that can fill the gap to assist the primary lender move forward with the project. And we've already gotten tentative commitments from the Community Foundation and First Financial, and we will continue to work to capitalize that fund. But it's really modeled after a Cincinnati organization, 3CDC, and if you've been down to Cincinnati, they've had quite a bit of success redeveloping their downtown area. We anticipate that this program will help us as well do very much the same thing. This particular fund we would see as being very beneficial in the German Village, High Street, Dayton Lane, Southeast, and Roseville, as well as our central business district. The program is really meant for very difficult projects in these particular areas. That isn't to say that the fund won't be used throughout the city, but the primary focus will be in these areas of the city. Another thing that the city is working on right now is the community reinvestment areas for the city. And again, you're looking at this being an opportunity to help people make investment in areas that are at times very difficult to make an investment. This isn't necessarily for, this covers a whole array of type of development, from residential to commercial to industrial. And we believe that once we've gotten this program up and running, that it will be another tool in the city's economic development toolbox, but a very important one. We hope, I know that the Community Foundation is working on programs also to provide financing for individuals to locate and start repopulating the core area of the city. So we think that this program will assist them in complementing that. And really what it is, it's a tax abatement for improvements on valuation of new improvements, as well as it can be for new development, but it can also be for redevelopment of existing properties. We think it's going to be a very good program. It's going to help us move some of the areas in the cities forward. South Hamilton Crossing is another important project, and once again, when I first came here, I didn't realize how long this project had been discussed, and it was an issue. Jim Blunt is a very good historian as it relates to this particular project, and when you're working on a project, and it was important 60 and 70 years ago, at some point in time, and I know a number of things have happened that have kind of made it go on to the back burner, but I think we've really, at this point in time, have a lot of traction on this particular project. We were out in Washington, D.C. and discussed this in March with a contingent from the city of Hamilton. But also on March 30th, we had a group of individuals here that did a bus tour of the community, and really it was very timely, because a bus tour in a city that's got 37 railroad crossings and only one uninstructed crossing, you can imagine on that bus tour how many times we ran into a train, and it spoke volumes. We had individuals there from the railroads, from the state transportation, as well as the Transportation Improvement District board members, and we heard very favorable things about this project. We've pretty much put this on a timeline we believe is a very safe timeline, but we are looking to move this forward each year. I believe the next step in this project will be property acquisition in the form of right-of-way, but this particular project is going to be important for not only just moving traffic, but the nature in which, in the area in which geographically you're moving traffic within the city. It's this particular project is adjacent to the University of Miami and Vora Business Park, where we've already had seen some success. We anticipate that project, we will continue to have a number of projects in that area, but we also hope that our friends at the university continue to expand in our communities. We see them as a valuable partner to the city. I was going to also discuss some of the transportation projects that the city is working on right now. The East High Gateway Corridor it's a very large undertaking because it not only includes just the infrastructure, the pavement and that sort of thing, but we're also looking to bury the lines and give and spruce up that particular corridor aesthetically. There's a number of things that we believe that we will see out of that, and not only the aesthetic appeal, but to the sheer traffic flow. And I know you get that certain hours of the day where it's extremely difficult to move traffic in that corridor. We believe that some of the improvements that will be contemplated will address some of that. We also see that as an area that we could potentially have some land banking opportunities and redevelopment as well. I'm already seeing people make some improvements to their facilities in that particular area, and it is we envision that once this begins, which will be in the spring of 2013, is projected to be completed in the fall of 2013. But you know, the one thing that I really like about this project is that it's the city responding to comments they've received from not only the residents, not only the business owners, but especially from the economic development side of things. Prospects for the city have really mentioned that, you know, the gateway of your city is something that really you should work on and improve, as well as traffic flow within your city. And it's nice to see that the council has made that a priority and is moving forward. We also are working on the other end of that street, Main Street. There's going to be improvements made to Eaton and Millville. Having driven those corridors, it perplexes me when that made sense. But I think it probably made sense back in the days in which horse and carriage was the main means of transportation. And as we've moved to other forms of transportation, you soon realize that you have issues. The one thing that I wanted to say about both of these projects and in this corridor as well, you're going to see a number of improvements that are designed to improve not only the vehicular traffic within this corridor, but also to address the pedestrian and bike traffic, which we think can all be in some way accomplished with some of these corridors here. So we do truly have a smart streets program within the city, and be able to address a number of different transportation needs. The other thing that probably is something that may be a little heavy lifting as a part of this project, but one that's important just the same, is probably the screening of the rail bridge there. And it's just a rendering that's been done of this area to give you an idea of what we're talking about. But as you can see, it really is, it's a rendering that speaks to the city of sculpture and some of the greening up of that corridor that I think will be particularly useful in improving the aesthetics of the corridor. One other project that is in the downtown area here is the Art Space project, and while developers of that project have struggled a little bit acquiring state tax credits for the project. They had a plan A, they moved to a plan B, and my guess is, based upon the traction that we've gotten with the mercantile lofts and just how quickly they've become occupied, if Plan B doesn't work, I think the city staff will be working on a Plan C, but we fully intend for this development to continue within this area here and are bringing a number of people to the table that can make that happen. Probably the most gratifying project that has recently happened, which was the groundbreaking that occurred on the 19th, is the River's Edge Park and Amphitheater project. I didn't realize how important that was until I spoke to a number of people that had been involved in that process and realized that this is something that has been worked on and really pushed forward by a number of people, and will do. I look at projects like this not only as enhancements to the downtown and the core district, but I see projects like this as being an enhancement for the city as well, because you're really looking to not only tie together your bike trail system there, but you're looking to have an outdoor amenity that will take advantage of the location by the river and really starting to utilize the river to a greater degree than probably what it's been used in recent years. And this project, I hope, will just be one of many riverfront projects for the city. And with that, I've got our information up there. I did want to say one thing, and as it relates to economic development. You know, economic development is not just done by your staff and the people that are hired through the city. It's opportunities like this for individuals that live in the city to provide their opinions, their ideas, and their aspirations, and really to get involved. You know, some people merely believe that you know, you watch what happens next, and you hope something good happens next. And the reality is that you're an ambassador of the city all the time. Everything that you do, every day of the week that you're in the city, the people you encounter on the streets, at the stores, at events, you're an ambassador. That makes a big difference to people. They begin to start talking about Hamilton, and when you create a buzz like that, it makes it a whole lot easier for this group up here to do our job as well. So I was going to mention also the utilities. It's really one of our goals. It's part of our strategic plan to have to utilize the electric and water and utilities for the city. And people often say, if you get the lowest price, then that should be enough. And the reality is, our city manager was down in Atlanta just last week, meeting with a company, and the one thing that he sold that particular company on as what was important asset that we had that some of the other people in the room didn't have is that we were able to present to them hydropower, which is a non-carbon emitting asset for the city. All of those companies have really gotten a, if you take a look at their brochures for their city or for the corporations in their annual reports, there really has got to be a focus from them. We met last week with a couple of companies as well that their eyes just lit up when we were able to tell them we can guarantee 100% of your power will be coming from our hydroelectric and utility, and that they will be non-carbon emitting electricity that you'll be able to purchase. And their eyes just really lit up because they understand how important it is for them on the public relations side of things, and that to be able to put that into an annual report was something that they found of tremendous value.
Are there questions regarding the presentation for this particular pillar?
Well, this isn't actually a question, but it's a comment I could make. I did enjoy hearing all the comments that you had about creating economic opportunity. I think one other way we could create economic opportunity is to support the farmers market that is going to begin on the Saturday Memorial Day weekend. And the reason we have a farmers market at the courthouse, as I've heard, is because the family that donated the land required that the land be used as a courthouse, and also required that have a farmers market on that site. One thing local farmers markets do is they help support our local economy because it supports local farmers. And you brought up the environmental aspect. Many environmental groups believe in local farmers markets because the produce sold there does not have to be transported long distances. Many of it's produced locally. So I think we all can help create economic opportunity by supporting the farmers market.
Yeah, I would definitely say, and I think you begin to see more of that. I have worked in states on the other side of the Midwest, Minnesota and Iowa, and they have really looked at the farmers markets as being a great draw for their downtowns in a number of the cities that I've been at, and cities of all sizes as well. I mean, you'll find cities of 400,000 that still find a lot of value in bringing that farmers market down to their downtown. So I agree.
Jody, as the guru of economic development, I believe that the appearance of our community has a lot to do with economic development. Could you expand on that a little bit so that people watching can understand some tips?
I appreciate that question because I can take it to a personal circumstance that I had. One of the companies that came to a community that I had worked in, I asked them, they're a big company, McNeelius Brothers, and they made garbage trucks and these big cement mixers, and I asked them, in this particular place, it was Riceville, Iowa's northeast Iowa, and it was one of the communities I represented as a county developer, and I was just curious. To me, it seemed like an anomaly to me, and they said it was real simple. They said, we were looking at a number of locations, and we drove into your community, and we saw that it was a very clean community. It had paved streets that were very well maintained, and people maintained their yards. And they said, that's kind of people, that says a lot about who I'm going to end up hiring to work in my facility, and those individuals that are going to make me successful in the community. I think it does speak volumes about how you're perceived by companies, and I think even just the general attitude of the community seems to get much better when they feel like they're part of something that's getting bigger and better. So I know from a personal experience that the appearance does make a big difference.
It was the first time I'd seen the rendition of the underpass with the sign and everything. I thought that was really beautiful, so that was cool. But for the LED or the sign that you guys are going to have up there, is that going to be just for the city announcements, or is that people can buy it? Is it billboard? Is it what kinds of messages would you potentially be seeing up there?
I can answer that. Primarily, that'll be for city announcements at this point in time. We have been looking at whether or not to expand that for private individuals to put things up there. So at this point, like I said, it is specifically for the public, I guess the city, and then hopefully expand it later on.
Yeah, I would say too, there are events that the university will put on that seem to me as being logical, that from time to time we would have advertised on that as well. I think it's important for people to know what's going on in the community, and we're trying a number of different ways to do it, from Facebook to newsletters, and Hamilton TV. We're always looking for ways to do a better job communicating with the public, and that seemed to me being one opportunity.
A quick question in reference to that sign we were just talking about. The location being right in the middle of one of the heaviest traffic flow patterns. Has there been given some consideration of the safety of reading a sign as you're passing underneath a bridge and at 4 o'clock in the afternoon?
Yeah, they actually have this, and I came from the Minneapolis Metro, where they've got these big digital billboards now, and what they've required of them is that they will only cycle through a certain amount of messages within a certain amount of time, so that you do not have that distraction. I remember going past billboards where I would have at the most exposure to 2 different messages within the time it took me to pass that. And I know there are some safety measures that are built into that. It's not going to be an end-all be-all, but I think it's going to be another way that we'll be able to market to our residents and share information.
Yeah, I'd echo what Jody said with that. We have looked in, obviously, to the safety issue of having that there. But again, as Jody said, there has been some studies already completed that indicate that if you were to set it at a certain time rate, if you're only allowed to see 1 or 2 as you're going through, you're less likely to, I guess, get into an accident, which is obviously the main concern with that.
You mentioned that the city is pushing to have businesses move into the the old Champion office building. I think it's now called Vora, and then also the old Ohio Casualty building, which which I think it would be good for economic opportunity. But is the city pushing to get a business to land at the Beckett or Champion Mill and also use the existing buildings? Well, for one reason, using existing buildings does help the environment because because the material from old buildings goes into landfills, and then it takes energy to create new materials, and it also preserves our local history. The paper mills are an important part of our local history. So is the city pushing to get a business to move into the old paper mills?
That was one of the reasons why the city council agreed to acquire the property with the expectation that it would increase our opportunity to locate businesses or to attract a business to it. But secondarily, what we didn't want to have happen was someone to come in and just essentially mothball those properties and really not create an opportunity of any kind for that particular area. But I'll borrow a statement that our mayor uses from time to time. Stay tuned, because there are opportunities for us there.
Are there programs or type of help for like small entrepreneurs, small businesses to come to Hamilton that are looking maybe for some design money, some help obtaining spacing and things?
Yes, to speak to your question, there's the Design Assistance Program, which is available for small businesses or entrepreneurs that are looking to work with an architect to retrofit a building or rehabilitate a building. So there's that particular program which speaks to those needs. And that's geared specifically towards businesses, small businesses. So we've got that program. And then in a lot of cases, we work with BizTech, which is right down the street. We refer small businesses or entrepreneurs looking for help with business plans or marketing plans. We work hand in hand with BizTech to assist those individuals who have bright ideas or are looking to innovate within the city. So that's absolutely a program that we've got available to those types of innovators.
I think too, the county has a revolving loan fund, and the city has a revolving loan fund, and obviously both funds are applicable in this case and really contingent upon the availability of funds. But there are resources. Anthony touched on one area that I think is particularly important within the city's incubator is small business development individual from the SBA who really serves as a great resource for people that are looking to start up a business. You know, it's one thing to have a great idea, and it's a whole other thing to begin to start up a business. And you know, a lot of people just don't have the wherewithal, the understanding of what the expectations of a primary lender may be. That individual really helps him, any business, put together their business plan, their marketing plan, and their profit and loss so that they can approach a bank and with credibility be able to present something to them that in a language that a banker understands.
Jody, this is a two-part question. Number one, is there still a microloan program that
Yes.
monies are available? And if you could explain that a little bit for the audience. And then number two, I know you haven't been here 12 months, but from what you know about how busy we were in 2011 compared with 2012, do you see a lot more interest in companies, new, small, large, whatever, investing in Hamilton, Ohio, based upon what you've observed so far?
I'll let Stacy handle the loan criteria, the microloan criteria.
Yeah, the Chamber has a microloan in partnership with First Financial Bank. If it's a business located in Hamilton, the maximum loan amount eligible is $10,000, and you can talk with Kenny Craig at the Chamber if you're interested in that loan.
As for the amount of activity, and I guess if you listen to enough of the financial shows, that they'll be the first to tell you that the first sector of the economy that'll come back is manufacturing. I would say that we have seen quite a bit of interest. You know, Stacy, poor Stacy, we get a lot of stuff that comes across, and the minute I get it, it's like, Stacy, can you respond to this? And there are inquiries that come in from Jobs Ohio and from the county and from the state. So I would say that there has been quite a bit of inquiries. And to your point, the city manager was in Atlanta last week, and that really was one that was a project that came from the state. In February is when we answered a number of questions that they had. In that particular situation, there were 5 sites being considered in the state of Ohio, and we had 2 of those sites. Having 2 sites that were shovel ready, that being with infrastructure at the front door of the site and well-maintained infrastructure, streets, played a big role in that, those 2 sites being considered. But the level of interest is very high, which is great. I mean, it is very good to see.
I'd also like to add, from the small business perspective, I work with the small businesses, and I can say the momentum, particularly along Main Street, has definitely increased. I'm working with 4 or 5 prospects directly that are looking at storefronts along Main Street. They range from, you know, like a gourmet popcorn store to a PC repair store. So I definitely see the momentum along Main Street and the activity picking up along Main Street. You know, if I had to point to something directly, it would be that corridor.
Yeah, I would say we've got some traction here. I mean, it is looking very good for the city, and you know, everyone expects it to happen overnight, but it really didn't get the way it was overnight either. It took place over time with a number of things happening. And I think the investment that's been made, the leadership that's occurred over the last several years, I think we're starting to see dividends now. And on the commercial side of that, it really is amazing how quickly things can turn around. But you know, I think what you're going to see, especially in the downtown business district, is, you know, they're looking you know, it's somewhat of a seesaw effect. Is when you get more residential in a particular area and more office, you're going to be able to see more commercial pickup afterwards, because they've actually have an identified consumer, whether it be during business hours or during hours that people are living on in their homes within the downtown district. So. Yeah, that is a very good point. I'm glad you brought that up.
Stacy, you mentioned that there's a microloan through the chamber. Does the city partner with other agencies that do similar types of services? Like I think the Community Action Agency itself also has a microloan program.
Yeah.
Is there a partnership or support, or how does that work with city versus community partners and agencies?
I would probably not call it a partnership, but support. If we know about the program and we're meeting with a business, we're more than willing to throw every program out there for them through the SBA, through the chamber, through SELF, whatever is available. You know, we're out there trying to give them every opportunity for whatever program works best for them.
I think too, in the case of the county funds and the city funds, what you're finding is in a lot of cases, we are the second position in a particular loan portfolio, but it's because we're taking that position that a primary lender feels comfortable in making the bulk of the loan to a particular individual. So we try to utilize our revolving loan fund really as gap financing.
One of the things that I did want to remind folks of is that this Economic Opportunity has a committee meeting on the 7th floor of the city building once a month, and their next one is the first Tuesday in June. And so we do encourage you to attend that meeting and really talk more about this progress and provide your feedback on these particular issues, because it really is a partnership with the citizens and the city. You can't do it alone, and so we do encourage that. And last but not least, I'd like to put in a plug for the citywide cleanup, which is this coming weekend on May 5th. So we do encourage you. The information is on the city's website if you'd like to check that out. There are going to be sites all over. You probably have seen some of the billboards and some of the little yard signs out. So we do encourage kind of helping create that clean community so that we can get some more businesses in town. So thank you so much for our evening here. We appreciate your participation, and we look forward to continuing this conversation sometime in the fall. Thank you.
Thank you.